best way for a director, an aspiring director who's really passionate and wants to learn, is to become an intern with an established director and work with them for either 6 months or a year or whatever, or during the course of a production, right from the word go, from auditioning or even from initial concept stage, all the way through to the end product.
First of all, you have to have the strength that the director will need eventually. Now, the strength doesn't come overnight. You have got to work at it, and what Joe has said, that you follow a good director and learn the tricks of the trade that way. But maybe even that is not necessarily good enough. You have to do it yourself. You have to fall on your face. You have to pick yourself up, and then you can go and cry on somebody's shoulders and go to someone and seek advice and say, what am I doing that's wrong? I mean, is this what it is like? But you must not take the easy way out. And you must also not be too afraid and run away from it all. Because that's very senang to do, very easy to do,
A director must never allow his or herself to be intimidated by his or her actors.
And that can happen.
And that can happen
often.
A lot.
Yes.
It is something that a director should never allow it. And I think the reason why some directors allow themselves, or a lot of directors allow themselves to be intimidated, is they're frightened of losing that actor. You know?
Not necessarily not necessarily losing the actor.
Oh,
but also because maybe...
Who's telling this story, you or me? No.
Maybe because the director doesn't have enough skill to ensure that the actor who is listening to him or her will totally believe all the words that are coming out from his or her mouth. I mean, I think this is a lifetime of learning to become a good director. You cannot,
of course,
achieve it after 1 or 2 or 3 or 10.
As I said, you never stop learning.
You never stop learning.
Knowledge of theatre, knowledge of the subject at hand, of the play, a vision, and being able to carry that vision through. Respect, a knowledge of that sometimes, or most times, less is more. The smallest things sometimes can have the most dramatic effect.
One thing that I believe we must make our actors give to any production, and this is a must, and it doesn't happen all the time, is the discipline that is absolutely required. One would like to say, if you cannot do this production, don't do it. Because my demands for this production, I'm setting very high standards. And these are the kinds of standards that a director will have to set for himself or herself in order to make the production truly be good. So we, again, are too easy and too lax to not remember that discipline is so terribly necessary and important. When Joe brings in some actors from abroad, and we see these actors come to the rehearsal room hours before the rehearsal is called for, and then we say, this is exactly how it should be. This is how it should be in order to develop a sterling industry for the country. But when can we make it happen? If we do not have that determination, we will never make it happen. So we must pool our resources, we must train them, we must tell them the performing arts industry is a industry that can feed you your next meal. It can put money in your pocket. You do not have to rush around, have a daytime job or whatever it is, and then come to the rehearsal at night and do it just for the sake of doing theatre. It should never ever be like that. We've been going through this for 50, 60 years now, and the growth is so slow because maybe as a nation we are not determined enough. I mean, it makes
priorities.
It makes you want to cry that who can you turn to make it happen?
Yes.
The colleges are not doing it. The universities are not doing it.
The schools are.
The schools are not doing it.
You have to be a good beggar. You have to have a thick skin. You cannot be too sensitive at all. You have to be able to pick up a telephone or go up to someone and say, look, your corporation is such a wonderful corporation, right? We need money, you know, and this is what we can give you in return. Because a producer also has to think like a business person these days, like a businessman. What's good for the goose is also good for the gander.
And the producer has got to have up her sleeve, or his, the knowledge that the industry requires in order to make the production happen. If you're fumbling around with, I don't think I know how to do this, I don't think this is my area of concern, there's this and that, the producer is the animal who puts the whole thing together. Directors may think that leave the creative thing to me, but the producer can also have a creative eye and also discuss with the director what she thinks the director should be looking into, etc., etc. So it is a whole gamut of stuff, and the more the producer knows, the better the production will be.
I think they must be fearless. A producer has to be fearless and has to know what it is that will make someone be involved in that production.
And as a producer, I would not say, let's not do this production because it's going to lose money. I would not say that. I would say, let's do it. But let's try and cut our losses, minimize the risks, find ways of doing that. And maybe she's not going to be alone in that because she has this whole group of people working with her. You cannot produce something unless everyone in that team think alike, because this is not I'm alone in this and therefore I'll be suffering all by myself. No, there's no such thing at all. You have to get everyone on your side, and you have to be on their side too. The production is the brand you must believe in. This is the brand that I want to do for the next 2 years. I mean, you know, the Actors Studio is going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary.
This is not an ad for the Actors Studio.
No, I just want to say that we have already laid our plans for the next 2 years. We haven't got a cent. But this is how we do it. We just step out with our right foot and make it happen.
Have a kway teow stall on the side. Yes, yes.
No!
No, I'm joking.
They can also be attached to top-notch producers. They can also learn the same way. They can also learn the hard way. They ask for advice every day. We train production managers all the time. We train assistant producers all the time. We take them from the college and we bring them in and we...
As interns.
As interns. And then after that they get a job. But they will never know how to do it unless they are willing to learn.
Especially producing. It's not something you learn overnight.
No.
You know, it's something that the more you do it, the more mistakes you make, the more you fall flat in your face and then lift yourself up again, the more money you lose, the better you'll become.
And the more you can have the eye contact with an actor or director and talk to them. Tell them the way it is. You know, because they need to understand. And you have got the problems, the questions you need to solve with your director, with your actors. And you look at your actors and you say that, and if you feel that they are not really giving their 150% worth, you must go and tell them something. So It's a great job being a producer.
Faridah as a producer is not frightened, is never frightened to speak to the actors in regards to the financing of the production. She will let them know exactly what the situation is, so that they know that they also have a responsibility to work bloody hard to make sure this happens. That it's not just served on a platter. There are people who have to go out and beg, borrow, or steal the money to put on this production.
But I believe that every person in the production has the responsibility to market the play, to make sure the play sells. It is not just one person's responsibility. Not every director will agree with me. Many directors will say to me, my actors, their job is to act. Okay, thank you very much. Your job is to, you go and look for the money, you go and do the marketing. And no, not in this climate, because this climate doesn't have the kind of money that we want to have at our fingertips. So everybody has to do it. And I think it is great satisfaction if you know that you played a role, you played a part in making this performance a success. Well, the production is the brand. Therefore, if there is a conflict, depending on how big it is or how small it is, you must have the director on your side. That is the most important relationship between the producer and the director. And if the conflict is a creative conflict between the actors and the director, it should be resolved between them. The producer must always take the side of the director. Must. Because the director has a bigger responsibility for that production than an actor. And it doesn't matter how big a name the actor carries. If it is a problem between director and actor, the director wins and the actor does not. If this is a freelance director, maybe the next time you will not work with that director again. But for as long as that production is in place, that is how it has to be. I mean, many a time Joe has said to the actor, thank you very much, I will find someone else to do that.
It's unfortunate. I have sacked several actors.
Yeah.
One on opening night.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't happen very often in our climate because, people want to earn a living. But if it does happen, the producer...
But Faridah's credo is that nothing is more important than the production.
Yeah.
It's the production, which is the brand, that is the most important thing. And the person who makes that happen is the director.
Yeah.
So therefore the producer, as far as Faridah is concerned, unless the director's an absolute idiot, then the producer should always side with the director, because you don't give a director a job unless you believe in that director. And just because he or she may rub certain people up the wrong way, sorry, if your ego is bruised, I can't help you there. It's the production that's important and not your ego. So that's Faridah's belief, and I'm with her on that.
There are lots of young new actors who want to become stars overnight, and that is not a possibility. Their responsibility towards the play, their respect for that play, their learning that they can get from that play, the knowledge that they can gain by working in that production, all this they must put into their book and see if it adds to the value of what they're going to become as a better actor in the future. If they think that I'm a young actor, I will learn from this production, then they are on the right track. If they are a young actor and they think, oh, those newspaper coverages are good, The fee is okay. I am quite happy with it. You know, these are all extraneous, not so very important things, but the satisfaction of being in that play, even if, you see, even if you are just playing the role of a servant and you already have a kind of a name in the industry, but if you are quite happy to be involved because you're doing some kind of learning, then that's how it should be. But there are too many young actors, they kind of frighten us sometimes by their bravado. They don't have the skills, they don't have the learning, and especially they do not have the discipline. Coming to the rehearsal 5 minutes before time, and then they kind of look at the clock as they come in, oh, I'm still early. It's not yet 7:30. There's so many of them. But it's our responsibility to teach them, to give them that training. Because again, they may have gone to college for 3 years, but what they bring back with them is not necessarily what we as theatre practitioners want to instill in them.
Managing egos, yeah. I've had to do that on several occasions. I call them into my office and I say to them, are you enjoying this production? Would you like to continue enjoying this production? Or would you like to leave? The choice is yours. To me, that's the only way I can manage it is by not being afraid to say to an actor, you either toe the line or you leave. I won't compromise. Faridah may play it differently, but I won't.
I think that creating egos or allowing egos to be created in a production is the responsibility of the group, including the director, including the producer. If you kind of pander, if you kind of fan to their egos, because again you are worried that you might be losing this actor, then the damage is almost done.
The important thing is that if a producer or a director is in fear of losing an actor,
it shows.
It shows. But not only does it show, then the director and the producer have nothing that they can argue with.
No more voice. Yeah.
So you have to make the actor believe that yes, you're important, but you're not as important as this production. So you screw it up and you're out. And I think if the actors know that, 99% of them will toe the line. The other 1% will leave or be forced to leave. We laugh a lot. We laugh a lot and we say to ourselves, God, we're stupid.
Yes, it is tension, actually. It is tension because I do know, and I do also believe that the creative work of the company must go on. That is my very strong belief as executive producer or producer, and also other production managers who work in KLPAC, the Actor Studio, also must believe in that and must trust themselves that they can do the job. Financial problems will always be there unless you are totally sponsored.
And we're heartened by companies that really go out there and work so damn hard to make sure that they get corporate nights, that they get people in there. I think you also have to understand the difference between a performing arts centre, which we are, and a theatre company, which there are a lot of them. And so therefore the modus operandi sometimes needs to be different. and you probably don't have the support system in terms of personnel that we would have. But we, you say, how do we handle the tension? And I jokingly said, we laugh a lot. And it's true. We laugh a lot. We go home at night and we think, what the hell are we doing? Why are we doing this? Because the money's coming out of our pockets.
But we still go ahead and do it. We still want, and we are 12 and a half years old at KLPAC, and we'll be
the actor studio is 30 years coming up.
I do not allow the financial problems to get in the way of what we want to do. We are not rich by doing theatre, but we are certainly so happy. First of all, the venue should be yours and not yours to pay rent towards, because renting a venue can be a very expensive exercise. My happiest days was when we were having our own venues, but we could not sustain our venues because we were renting the space, and rental was too expensive.
You cannot run a successful venue if you in turn have to rent it first.
Yeah, you can't.
We're very fortunate we don't pay rent at KLPAC. That's all part of our commitment. We don't pay rent. So therefore, we are not burdened by the fact that we have to cover rental to someone else from the rental that is paid to us.
But maybe Malaysia has not yet come to the point where we have encouraged the rich and the famous families in the country to get involved into building their own theatre spaces.
Having your own venue creates its own set of headaches. Like, you have to employ X number of people. I mean, KLPAC, we have in excess of 40 full-time staff. Penang PAC, we have in excess of 12. We also have about 4 or 5 actor studio staff. So it's a lot of mouths to feed, and a lot of responsibility.
I would like to reach out to those people who have got shopping malls, for instance, because I believe that having a theatre in a shopping complex is a great thing to do, because you have the ready traffic of the people who come to the malls and so on.
And you got your F&B outlets.
So we want to appeal to those people who have the shopping malls. Build these theatres. You don't have to build big ones. You build a 300-seater, 250-seater black box, but build and take on the responsibility of being a patron of the arts and helping the arts industry to grow this way. I had my rathers, and I was born rich. I'd build small theatres at every street corner, but small theatres, because I think that the audiences are there to fill up smaller theatres, but not 1,200 seaters and 800 seaters and even a 500-seater. So I'm sure there are rich people out there who are listening and who might want to do the same. Build small theatres at every street corner and make the industry happen.